Hello and welcome back to my channel and to part 1 of my series on understanding the tarot cards. In this video we will look at the first 7 cards of Major Arcana in depth. Each of these cards has a message that speaks about how we find ourselves in terms of our relationships, with ourselves, with our spirituality, and how we fit into the world around us. They form the foundation of our understanding of our relationship with the cards. Follow me how to explore the wonders of the tarot cards. So to start off, we are going to begin with the Fool. We begin our journey with the Fool card. At first glance, this card seems to have a simple message of new beginnings. This is only on the surface though. If we look at it a little deeper, you'll find this card's meaning and message to have a little bit more nuance than it first appears. To start with, this card's position in the deck is 0. So it stands out from the other cards. The reason for this is really because it represents a query and a journey understand a question or situation. The Fool is present in many different forms throughout the deck, as their knowledge, awareness and understanding of the question grow. Secondly, it's not really the beginning or the end of the deck. It just is. Its divinatory meaning is one that speaks of taking leaps of faith and seizing opportunities and venturing into the unknown. When this card is present, it is wise to look at the other cards in the spread to find out what opportunities might be and how it relates to the person getting the reading. If it's reversed, it informs us that there are missed opportunities because the client did not take the chances that they should have when presented itself, and it represents holding back or overthinking, when acting was the more prudent form. Once again, look at the other cards in the spread to find the clues as to what the missed opportunity was and what a potential outcome could be. Next, we could look at the Magician. The Magician occupies a position that represents the start of our journey through the tarot and our conscious awareness. When the Magician appears in the reading, he is asking you, are you aware of the power that you have inside of you? Not only to come up with new ideas, but to bring those ideas to fruition. The key to answering that question begins with the question, do you know what you want to achieve? We can manifest all kinds of things, but we can only do so if we are aware of what exactly we want. And if we do not have a clear picture of this in our minds, we tend to get mixed results. When giving a reading to someone else with this card, it's reminding the reader to listen to who they are, because by listening we can help guide them to the answers they seek. In your reverse position, often means that the client is unclear of what they want, which is leading to mixed results. If the card's in this position, it is best to ask what they are unsure about, and so we can help the tarot to help find out how they are. The next card is the High Priestess. This is the card that represents our subconscious mind. That part of ourselves that takes the information that we may not be aware of in our conscious minds. In Western culture, we often call it our intuition, and it's been named by many things in many different cultures. In relation to tarot, it represents trusting that inner voice. You know the one I mean, the one that tells you when something is wrong even if you're not aware of why. It is this inner voice that nudges the client of something their subconscious mind is aware of, but they myself might not be. When this card is present in a reading, it asks the client to listen to their inner voice and trust their inner wisdom, because that is where the answers they seek are to be found. If it is present in a reverse position, the client is not listening to their inner voice or is dismissing their intuitive sense. Ask them to look within themselves and to pay attention to what their inner voice might be. It could be that they are filled with self-doubt and don't trust that part of themselves. The next card we could look at is called the Lady. The Lady is a card that really has ties to nurturing, to pregnancy, and to nature. The image of the card is one of expectancy. The Lady is often particularly in the phase of pregnancy. But when you take a look at the card, she's all about growth and nurturing. She holds a corn in one hand and she is letting seeds go in the other. So it's all about the natural flow. Things take their time, And sometimes there isn't much you can do in a situation to help things speed up. We just have to let things be. And that is what this card is telling us, that we have to just let things go. The idea that things will come out in their own time. This is beyond your immediate control. Now, in its reverse position, what this card represents is that there is a blockage. Something is blocking that creative flow. It could be some self-doubt, it could be disagreements, it could be writer's block, it could be a lot of different things. And this is where you need to talk to your client and find out what's going on so you can help them in more detail. The next card we could look at is the Lord. And he's known in the deck for leadership and determination. So I'm going to give you a quick example. Think back to a time when you were first learning to ride your bike. Now you may have wobbled and you might have fallen down a few times. But there's that one part of you that wants to say, get up, dust yourself off, and get back and try again. It's that determination that helps us move on. He's also the part that tells us to be accountable for who we are when we're asking questions or we're starting a new venture into something. He asks, is this right for us? Is this what you really need? And he makes us stop and question ourselves, but also to show confidence and authority when we are facing the unknown. When it showed up in the reverse position, he indicates that your heart is not fully invested in whatever the situation is, or whatever the question is. It might be you're facing a relationship that you're having doubts about, or a work commitment you're having doubts about. This is the important thing. And this is where we can find out where those hesitations may be. Again, look at the other cards in the reading to find what that is. The next card we could look at today is the Druid, or the Hierophant in most other decks. This is a card that shows us how we look at spirituality and how we look at the things that we can't explain through science. Mankind throughout history has looked to mythology and spirituality as a way to explain things that we don't understand. Lots of cultures have different gods or a god that help us explain how things came to be. This card represents someone who had a connection to that divine, someone who has the wisdom and the knowledge that we seek for guidance. It represents how we use religion and faith as a guiding force. And we look up to a figurehead within that faith to guide our actions. Now, in its reverse position, this card is where we use religion as a shield to kind of justify our actions, whether it's bigotry, whether it's exclusion, whether it's harmful practices, like that. And that is what we are going to look at more detail in some of the later cards. The next card we are going to look at is the Lovers. Now, on the surface, this is really quite a simple card. This is a card that really is all about love and relationships and our place in them. Now, we humans, we're a social species. We really thrive when we are connected to other people. So when we bear that in mind, this card is really showing of our search for those relationships. So that's the easy part. The harder part is when we look at it as self-love, learning to love and respect ourselves, learning to appreciate our strengths as well as our weaknesses, and to do things that bring us joy and happiness and fulfillment into our life. Now, in today's modern age, we're on social media or running around all the time. We don't always take the time to do the things that we enjoy. And we're always bombarded by images, by social media, by marketing, for how we should be. This ideal man or woman. And if you don't measure up to those standards, it can cause anxiety and it can cause this feelings of inadequacy. Stop. These feelings don't represent you, they're just as anxiety calling you down. Take the time to really focus on what you want and what makes you happy. That is the meaning of this card. So if it means taking that hot bubble bath or taking a walk in nature, do things that you find fulfilling. And that's how you'll find your happiness and self-love. And then finding the external love will flow from that. The next and the last card we're going to look at is the Chariot. Now, this one is where we need to buckle down, because when this card appears in the reading, it typically means that the situation or the question has already been set in motion. And there are things about this which are beyond the querent's control. So it's saying, you have a choice. You can either hang on and find out where this is going to end and let go of the reins, or you can let go completely and just drop out. It's asking you, how strong is your will to see this through? Because this is going to be it's maybe a bumpy ride. In its reverse meaning, it means you're clinging and trying to control too much that isn't there to control, that isn't available for you to control, and you need to learn to let go. Now that's it for this week. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit my like and subscribe and subscribe to my latest video, and I'll see you next time.